OpenAI just released Agent Builder and ChatKit. These tools are here to help you, to help us to quickly build AI agents without having to code, even though you can customize with code if you wish to do so. But the idea is to give you the tools that you need to start building agentic workflows that actually work. And of course, you can deploy them. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what Agent Builder does, how it works, and go really deep into this whole new way of building agents. So by the end of this video, you're going to be able to understand and implement Agent Builder to build your own agents and leverage what OpenAI has offered us. But before we get started, I'd like to let you know that if you're interested in learning more about these tools I'm going to show you in this video, and furthermore, if you want to learn about AI from zero to hero, understanding how to leverage AI in your business, in your own projects, and be part of a community that is thriving when it comes to AI, then I would like to invite you to join the AIF community. Check the link in the description. Not only will you get courses on AI, how to leverage AI, how to make money with AI, you'll also have access to 5 highly qualified AI coaches, me included, who are dedicated to your success, which means every week we have Q&A calls where you can show up and ask questions about AI, whatever you're building, whatever issues you're having, and we are there not only on Q&A calls, but you can also ask questions anytime. And you have 5 people plus everybody else in the community who are there to help you succeed. So if you're interested in actually take your AI skills or really immerse yourself into AI to the next level, then go ahead and join AI Foundations community, and you can find the link right below in the description. All right, so to access the Agent Builder, you have to go to platform.openai.com/agent-builder. So you can see that here we have the chat, audio, images, assistants, things that you've probably seen before, API keys and all of that. But then now we have this Agent Builder. So if you click Agent Builder, of course, that should be the first thing that you see. And there you go. Okay, so create a workflow, build a chat agent workflow with custom logic and tools. Now, the beauty here is that there are many tools out there that do similar things. You've probably seen the no-code era we've been in for a while now, where you don't need to know how to code in order for you to build agentic workflows or agents that do something. And so in this case here, you can see that we can go ahead and create one, or they have some sort of templates that we can use. So let's go ahead and go deep and look at one of these templates. So we have this data enrichment, pull together data to answer user questions, planning helper, template, structured data Q&A. Okay, we have also customer service, document comparison. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this planning helper here so you can see how all things work. So now you can see that we have this new workflow. Now, the one thing you'll notice is that we have certain components, right, that we can use that are on your left-hand side. So as you can see here, we have these pieces that we can drag and drop into the canvas. So this, as you can see, I can move around. So you can change these settings here. So select V. So this is going to be to select one thing. You see, you can go all back and forth. And if I change this, this is going to be for the whole canvas. If I go ahead and go like this. Okay, so to the left here, you can see that we have core pieces. So we have agent, that is the star. We have end, which is the workout output. And then we have note. And then we have tools here. That means we can use these tools to do things like file search, guardrails, MCP. Ooh, very nice. We have logic, if-else statement, while user approval. So this will be something related to human in loop. Then we have transform, we have set state. So a lot of things going on here. Let's get started. Just look at what we have here. So you can see this is one of the notes. So here I can say hello, something like this. Right, hellos, and I can remove all of that. This is a new note like this, and there you have it. Okay, and of course you can go ahead and just delete that note, and then Command Z, and it's back. And so let's go ahead and see the pieces here. So it looks like this is where things start. And then we have the triage. So this is agent. And as you click in each one of those, you can see that we have some sort of a panel that opens, which tells us what this is. Think of this as a node, because it is indeed a node, right? This is one node, second node, and so forth. So this one says start, define the workflow inputs. So the input variables is input as text. The type is string, okay? And we can add the state variables and all of that. Now, if you want to learn more, look at this. You can click here and learn more. I'm going to right click and open a new tab and see what else can I learn about this. So it shows here that it takes us to the documentation where it tells exactly the pieces, what they do, and so we can learn more about this. So I would encourage you to spend some time and look at the documentation. Okay, let's go back to our agent builder. And as we go, we can see that we have the actual agent. So I'm going to click here and it tells us exactly what this is. So it's a triage. Call the model with your instructions and tools. Now, here you can see we can add a name. So the name here says triage. We can triager or whatever it is that we want to add. We can change this name. Okay, but at the bottom you can see that this is an agent. That's why they show here. Now, for each agent, we want to add instructions, right, to sort of ground our agent. So it says here you're an assistant that gathers the key details needed to create a business initiative plan. Look through the context, or rather the conversation, to extract the following. Okay, so initiative goal, to target completion date or time frame, available resources or current capacity. If all three details are present anywhere in the conversation, return something like this. So we are giving some information, some grounding information for our agent of what it needs to look after and do. So this is prompt engineering. Now here, look at this. It says include chat history. Now all agents have to remember what's happened, right? And so here it's set, we can set to include chat history, which means it's going to always be able to go back and save pieces of information as things happen or not. So if you say include chat history, then it's included. And then we can check here the model we want to use. So GPT-5, that's what it's been using. And I can go ahead and find maybe GPT-5 Nano, which is more efficient. I'm going to use that just because. And then we have the reasoning effort. Minimal, that's what it is. If you click, you can say low, medium, or high. Minimum, it's fine. Okay. And now here is the place where you can actually add tools. So if you click here, you can go to client tool, which allows us to add ChatKit, which we'll talk later about. And then we can also add function or custom. So for now, I'm going to just leave as is. Now the output schema here, this is beautiful because you can set up what is the output once things happen with this agent. It does things that it needs to do. What will be the response output? Okay, so we have here, you can see response schema. If you click, it's going to show you exactly, which is exactly what we saw in the description, the grounding of the agent. So you can see property is going to be response underscore schema. And then we have the properties fields here. Names is going to be has all details, and we can set the type. So the type is Boolean, and we can add a description. This is just for us to see, and the agent as well. And the initiative goal is going to be a string, right? str, and we can add a description. Okay, I'm not going to do anything because we didn't change anything. Okay, let's just say update. That's fine. That is what we have for our triage agent here. So once we go through that, we can see that we have this condition, sort of like if statement. Let's double click and see. So here we're saying if case name this is true, then something else is going to happen. Then we can go to the next phase of the workflow. Something else is going to happen as well. So let me go ahead and move this along so you can see. So you can see here that if it's true, has all details field, then we're going to go and launch the helper, which is another agent. Otherwise, we're going to call the agent that goes and gets data. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the launch helper here. So the launch helper, that's just a name. It is an agent. Okay, so we have instructions. Come up with a tailored plan to help the user run a new business initiative. Consider all the details they have provided and all of that. And we have all of this prompt. Now, we can also add context. So if we click here, we can add context so that our agent has more information. That's our launcher helper. And then get data in cases that we don't have enough information. It says collect the missing data from the user. Look through the conversation to extract following pieces. Initiative goal, target, and all of that. Let's go ahead and click preview here real quick. So here we are, test the workflow. So this is where we can test the workflow that we put together here. Okay, so whatever we pass here, the start is going to get started and then pass information to the triage, the agent, and go from there. So I'm going to say I want to start a business in the food industry. I would like to start next month. And right now I have 100,000 USD to start with. Can you help me? Okay, so after a few moments, you can see that we went through the process and you can see all these highlighted, which tells us that indeed things have worked. So now you can see we started, triage was called, and then we have here, the moment you click that, that's what happens. Let's go back to preview. Of course, you can see that all these pieces happen, and triage was called and has all details: initiative goal, start a business in the food industry, target time frame next month, current resources 100,000. So because we have all the pieces that it needs, it was able to pass this condition and go straight to launch helper. If you keep going, went to condition as you see here, and then launch the helper. So here's a tailored plan to help you start your food industry business next month with 100,000 budget. First of all, define your niche, decide on the type of business it knows is food business, etc. And then 2, conduct market research. Okay, create a business plan, legal and regulatory setup, register your business, and all of that. Now, this is a very simple template, but it gives you the idea on how this actually works. Of course, if this condition was false, then we would go ahead and get more data, or rather the agent get more data would have been called. So let me try again. I'm going to create a new chat. For now, I'm going to just copy what we had before, and I'm going to omit a few things. So let's start a new chat. Look at that. So it created a new chat. So I'm going to paste this, and I'm going to say, just remove this part, no money, and see what will happen. So let's go ahead and run. Okay, this is good. So right like that, you can see it went ahead and ran, but because the condition was false, send these things off to the get data agent. So you can see now the triage has details, initiative goal, doesn't have all its pieces, conclusion, get data, I can help to get started, pieces that he wanted, and then the get data agent says, I can help to get started. Could you clarify these initiatives here? So initiative goal, build a business in the food industry. And then I could say target time frame. I would like to start next year. And then available resources. I only have my friend who has 33 USD. Okay, let's go ahead and run. Okay, so now I went through the process. It's getting the information, so it's still in the get data. Okay, we ran this. Start triage has all these things. Get data thinks I'm missing a few things, initiative goal, what exactly business model you're aiming. And so it goes back to get more information. Now, this is just an example, of course, a template that to show you how to use these tools, in this case, these agents. All right, so once you have this, I'm going to get rid of that. You can see that we can go ahead and click here because I'm actually zoomed in. That's why you can't see that. But if I'm zoomed out, you're going to be able to see, I believe, more. You can see that we have code here. So I'm going to make it that a little bit larger so you can actually see better. So if you click here, you can see I can evaluate, have code, you can duplicate this entire workflow. If you go to code, it's going to show you here this get code. Now this is really good because what this does is it allows you to get these pieces of code, and if you want to include this in a website of yours, you can actually do that. Okay, so there's a few things you can do. You're supposed to do to set that up, but they make it really easy. And also, if you go to Agent SDK, look at this. That whole thing, that whole workflow, you can see this is the TypeScript code. So all of this, if you want to tinker with code, is what represents what we just saw in our template. Okay, so you can see triage, this new agent. This is how all of that, the agent, the first triage agent was constructed in code. This is incredible because you can actually see all these pieces, what is happening and how it's all done. Now, if you understand code, of course, this is really easy to understand. If you don't, that's fine, but it's just an option. I like this because it gives you an option of seeing how this code is actually being generated. What is the code that was generated to create these agents? Okay. Now, if you want a Python, of course, you can change that to Python, and there you go. That's what you see. The ChatKit here, if you right click, is another tool that allows you to build and customize an embeddable chat with ChatKit. Create an agent workflow and then attach a ChatKit into your product, so that way you have a front end where users can interact with your product, in this case with your workflow, with your agents in the back end. Okay, very cool. We're going to get to that. Okay, so that is what we have here. The other thing you can do is actually publish. If you click publish here, you're going to be able to give it a name, and this is going to be a publishable or publish workflow, which can be used in API calls, and you can also create different versions. In this case here, we're not going to do that, but that is something you can do. So essentially what they're doing is you give you all the pieces where you can construct your workflows and then make sure they work by testing them out. And once that's all done, you can either go here and look at code, as you saw earlier, even add a chat kit, which allows you to create, like I said, a front end where users can start interacting with your agent. By the way, putting videos like this with a lot of information together, it takes time and a lot of research. I would appreciate if you could just hit that thumbs up button so that I can feel like I'm doing something that is useful. I would appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so now what we'll do is, because this was just using a generic flow, I'm going to just go back here and I'm going to create a new one. So you can see I can go ahead and say create, right? So we can see all of these nodes. These are what we call nodes. So I can go ahead and delete all of that. So at least we should have this node because this is the starting point. Click here. This allows me to see exactly what this is. So this is a starting point and it says define the workflow inputs. So there it is, input as text. Add state variables if I want. If I click like that, I can say, for instance, I have name or and add the default value. Other thing you can see that I can change instead of string, number, boolean, object, or list. All right, so there we go. So now I'm going to just go ahead and say I want to add something else. Let's say I want to add an agent. So I'm going to come here and put the agent right there. By the way, I love the way this looks. I like these designs. So now I can connect this too. So to say, okay, start, go straight to this agent. If I click on this agent, of course, I can add a name for agent 34. Doesn't really matter what name you want. And then here you can add instructions for this agent. This is the prompt to ground the agent, as you saw earlier. So I can say something like this. The other thing also is that I can add context. Context are just pieces of data that can to aid our agent. You can see if I say add context here, I can add search. This could be a context. This is input as text that comes from the start. Or I can even add in form of curly braces like this, like that. And I'm going to add a variable here that we may have somewhere. All right, so that's fine. The other thing also you can do is you can go ahead and say include chat history, right? As I said before, this is to make sure that our agent is able to remember things. So everything that we have passed through it is going to remember. And the model here, you can always go and find the model of your liking. Okay, so GPT-5, you can have GPT Nano if you want, and many other models that you may want to check it out. And then reasoning effort, it's down to low, so it doesn't take too many tokens for reasoning. You can say low, medium, or high. Tools, the tools is very interesting because you can actually go and create a client tool such as ChatKit. And then we have hosted tools such as MCP server, file search, web search, even code interpreter. You can also have local, so you can create a function as a tool. You can have custom as well. Of course, the output format, it could be text or JSON or even a widget in ChatKit as an object, separate object. So now I can say, for instance, let's go ahead and click preview. I can say, do you know anything about space travel? Let's see. So it should go ahead and start and go straight, and we should get a response. Yes, I can help with a wide range of space travel topics, all of that included. So this is very cool. Now I'm going to add guardrails. So I'm going to click, drag and drop here to say, I'm going to connect that. Then if I click guardrails, so what does it do? Guardrails is for moderation, to make sure that we don't end up being hijacked. The AI or our workflow is not hijacked. And we can also make sure that there's no hallucination that could potentially happen. And we can check for all these things just to make sure that we sort of sanitize whatever is coming in from our agent. So there are a few things you can add here. The name, it's guardrails, but you can add your own name. Input is going to be output text coming from our agent. Personal identifiable information, I can just tick to say any personal information that the user may have inputted, we're going to get rid of that. Okay, we're going to not show that. Moderation, for instance, you can click here, classifies and blocks harmful content. Very good. I'm going to say yes. Jailbreak, yes. Hallucination, yes. For hallucination, we will have to browse and find vector stores. So in this case, we're going to cancel. If you want also continue on error, you can just take. Let's go ahead and say preview again. Say hello, my name is James Bond and I live on 123 South. I'm going to say 887, something like this, and see what will happen. I'm going to run. Okay, so it ran. It looks like it passed. So in this case here, it's safe text. Nice to meet you, James. Thank you. Because you can see under guardrails, it passed as safe text and it goes on to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do or plan to do and all of that. Very good. So of course, you can make your guardrail even more robust if you wish to do so and go from there. The thing is, if you don't want one of these, you can always go ahead and delete them. But next, I'm going to go ahead and get this end here. So I'm going to just put it there just to see. So click. So choose the workflow output. So we can actually add, in this case, the output schema that we may want. So we can say, for instance, stock list. So the model will generate some sort of JSON object, which is going to match this schema that we add here. So we can say, for instance, name and the type is string and enter value. We can say James, something like this. And we can add another type, age, and instead of string, that's going to be, let's just say a number, right? Value is going to be 67 like this, and update. And you can see that indeed we have that schema, which we can always connect to. You can always say connect to a previous node as such. Okay, this is just an example for you to see. And the other thing I can add here, as you can see, we have note. So note is essentially what it means. So we can actually add, as I say, you can put something like this, a note, sticky note that says, this is the end node where I can set up the output, something like this. All right, so the next thing you can see here, we have tools. Tools are very important because it allows for the agents to be able to do something outside them. This is where things get really exciting. So you can see here, it says query a vector store for relevant information. So I would have to go and create a vector store. If I click here, this will open OpenAI platform, which allows us to create a vector store. Now, this is something that I have created a while ago. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on that. And then I'm going to get this ID. So I'm going to copy this ID. I don't remember what it's all about, but it's okay. And I'm going to go back here and I can add this ID like that. Okay, so voila, you can see that we connected to that memories too. I don't even know what that is, but that's okay, right? So now file search, so we can say max results, and the query could be something like this: get everything from this file. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm going to delete this, and let me connect this to that one. Okay, let's go ahead and preview. Can you tell me about what you can do? Just to see. Okay, it's going to go through the agent. It's going to go to guardrails. Okay, so it went through, it passed, and then it went to the file. Let's see what happens. I can help with what range of things, and we can follow along to see how things. Okay, so it went through guardrails, very good. And then it went to file search. It looks like file search nothing really came from there. That's fine. But at least you can see that for the file search, you can go ahead and do all sort of things. So this must be just an empty one anyway. But if that database had something, then we would have gotten something. In the logic side of things, we have if else node. This node allows you to create conditions so you can branch your workflow. If this is true, then do this. If not, go this way. Right? Very handy. You have the while loop, which allows you to iterate through, go while this is true, keep doing this until the statement is not true anymore. Okay, and if you click, you can always see loop while a condition is true, and then you can add an expression, something like this. All right, very good. And you have this user approval. This is what we call human in the loop. So the idea is to add a human, right, to say, okay, once you get to this point, don't do anything until somebody comes in, either approves or rejects this. Then we have transform here. This is what allows you to actually transform or change the data, reshape the data to a certain type. So from A to a different format, different way of processing that data. You have expressions and you have object. And in this case, you can add an actual schema, which, for instance, you can add the name and add the property. So essentially just like what we had before. And you can see here, you can actually generate. If you click generate, you can actually describe what you want and hit create, which it's going to generate for you the schema that you're looking for. So it's very handy. I'm going to cancel. Let me know what you think of this. Is this something that you'll be using? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think this is going to change our industry, even though most of this stuff is not new per se? What are your thoughts on all of this? So, and one last thing I want to talk about is the ChatKit. So ChatKit is yet another tool that they release that sort of works with the builder, the Agent Builder. So the idea is the ChatKit is that we're able to customize the user interface that will connect to our agents that we create with Agent Builder. Okay, there's a lot here, and you can go ahead and read more about it. And maybe I want to create a new video just on ChatKit, and we can put everything together and go from there. All right, so a lot. It's here. For instance, embed ChatKit in your front end. They give you an example of how these pieces come together, and it's pretty awesome. I think I'll do another video just on ChatKit so we can see how to put it all together. All right, so thank you so much for your time. I hope this was helpful, and I'm excited about new tools, and I'm interested again in hearing what are your thoughts about this tool. And until next time, be well.